This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz, and I'm so excited to be speaking with Sadie Sink and Eric Bana about A Sacrifice. How are you both doing today?
Hi, doing well, thank you.
Good, thanks, Abe.
Awesome. Can you tell me about your personal experiences with or just general knowledge of cults?
I luckily have no personal experience with them, but I definitely around this time the movie was presented to me, kind of like took up a fascination with them. I'm a big like true crime fan, so this was kind of it was very enticing when I got the script for this. But other than just like a casual interest, no further experience with cults.
What about you, Eric?
Uh, yes, similar in the sense that I've always found them really fascinating, and I've always enjoyed watching documentaries and true crime things around the subject matter. But I guess in terms of like trying to understand it spiritually, for me, I was like, oh, it's kind of like following my football team and going to the football every week. It's kind of similar, it's just a different version of it. So there's all kind of different ways that you sort of try and understand the psychology behind it. And I think there was quite a lot of ways in.
I think that's a great advertisement for this film. It's True Crime Podcast means football team enthusiasm, but just a little bit darker, I think, than both of those. So, how did you go about building your father-daughter relationship for this movie?
Well, I had this very strong instinct that Sadie would be very, very fun and easy to work with, which turned out to be, of course, the exact opposite. I mean, it was
Mhm.
total nightmare. No, it was so easy, and Sadie's around the same age as my own actual daughter. So that whole dynamic was so much fun. And it was really well written as well. I loved the scenes that we had together. Had a lot of meat on the bone in terms of um, how a father-daughter relationship actually is, as opposed to a kind of like a fantasized version. Like there was conflict and there was tension and there was a bit of fun and humor, and so it was beautifully written by Jordan, and we just dove into it. I mean, it was really so effortless with Sadie.
It's interesting always with this stuff too, because we had never met before. I think we'd done like a rehearsal or something in Berlin, but I remember the first scene that we had it was kind of like the ending scene of the movie, which was a interesting place to start. So it's kind of a big question mark as to whether or not, oh, will the chemistry be there? How will that work? But yeah, it was pretty effortless with this. And like Eric said, with the writing, it was all there. And then also having an actual dad helps for sure.
Were you able to see parts of yourselves in your characters at all, or are these just very different people from who you really are?
A little different. I definitely found more connections as we were filming, especially in just kind of being able to live in Berlin and experience the new city as Sadie, but then also through the Mazzy character, there was definitely some connections there. Um, but yeah, definitely as I got more into it, more stuff started to appear and I would connect with her more.
VR?
Yeah, yeah, it's a good point Sadie makes about shooting in a foreign city, which is always really fantastic and always adds a layer to whatever it is you're portraying. So both for Sadie and I being the kind of foreigners in that city, and our all our crew pretty much were local from Berlin. And so there was this kind of embedded feeling that you were from somewhere else, and much the same as Mazzy and Ben are. But aside from that, I really love the character, and I love the dynamic of also this broken marriage, and the excitement of what it must feel like if you're in that situation, and you finally get to see your loved one for a period of time that it's like really, really special. And then the added tension that comes from a third party taking the father's time away from the daughter, and the dynamic that brings was really great.
And how much do you think the city of Berlin itself specifically plays into just sort of the narrative and the overall mood of this movie?
So much. I think it couldn't have been done anywhere else. Because it has that kind of that edginess to it that I think the film really benefited from. And it was very important that we actually filmed there too and kind of felt the heartbeat of the city and what we were doing. And now it's my favorite city still to this day. And I just had like the best time there. So I'm very very glad we got to go and film it there, because it truly, it just, yeah, like it had to be Berlin. It kind of, the film looks like it, and I think paints it in a really interesting color, with this like slight eeriness. It's kind of gray, and so the film really reflects that.
Yeah, I agree. I've shot there before, and it's probably one of my favorite cities in the world. And I think it's a perfect setting because the city does this kind of thing naturally where it like plays really, really well to young people and the kind of young, edgy, crazy side of life. And then people who are like older and more conservative are like super comfortable as well. And there's like no judgment in between the two. And I think that the age dynamics of the characters just also really, really suits the location. And yeah, it's a really special city.
I also found it very realistic. I remember going to Berlin when I was studying abroad and asking someone, like a taxi driver, about a street I was going to. And like they did, like with Maddie, there's no idea what I'm saying, but I think I'm
Oh
saying the
no.
words that are written down and some Strasse, and somehow it
Everything,
doesn't
everything
translate at
is
all.
Strasse. I couldn't, yeah, it's definitely hard to figure out at first. So I got there, I was like, oh, this is gonna be hard. I don't know if I'm ever gonna get used to it. But like I said, it was perfect for to be that kind of ignorant American who doesn't know how to pronounce anything and is totally lost.
Obviously, the film is, a lot of the scenes that you're in are all in English. What is it like working with a German cast?
It was great, actually. Yeah, it was fantastic. I would practice I'm half German, so I would try and practice my German on some of the crew and stuff, and which would elicit nothing but laughs. I don't know how to take that, but my grandparents were from quite a rural part of Germany, so apparently I speak with a heavy slang, but it's always fun to practice.
I loved working with the mainly German crew and all of our German cast members, especially the actors. There's just a different type of training that they went through, and they bring this certain intensity that um, really played well with their characters. But it was just also so fascinating to work with actors who have like a different kind of approach. And I definitely learned a lot from them. So yeah, that was a really cool highlight of the experience as well.
I think also, Sadie, a lot of your fans from Stranger Things will follow you to probably anything, but especially to this movie. And I'm curious because I feel like the world of the cult is pretty dark, and it's definitely not the same as, the upside down and all the creepiness of Stranger Things. But do you think that they'll find something unexpected to relate to there?
It is a different kind of dark, but at the end of the day, if it's dark, it's dark. So I think there is going to be some overlay there. But yeah, so I hope they enjoy. It's definitely a different color than Stranger Things for sure. But if you do like that, I don't know, that eeriness and that suspenseful nature in a TV show or a movie, then they'll definitely enjoy this as well.
I was looking back, remembering being at the Toronto International Film Festival in 2022 when there was The Whale and also Blueback there. And so it's nice to see you guys together after watching you in that kind of cinema there. And I'm curious what it's like just sort of shifting from that kind of, film festival favorite to, a more all out kind of, thriller action kind of movie. How do you, work on those two things together? Do you have a preference for one over the other?
I mean, I don't know. They're so different. Um, I think the sets are just built a little bit differently. They operate at a different pace. If you're doing kind of a more indie art film that is more kind of performance driven in a more isolated sense, then there's just a different energy on set. Whereas something with this, where it's a little bit more action packed and there's a lot of suspenseful sequences, or you find yourself in very weird situation. Like I had to learn how to dive for this, and I would never have to do that on anything else. But for this, that was just something that came with it. So there's a certain element of fun that is added to a movie like this. And you kind of get to, while the scenes can be like super, super intense and physically demanding, to me, that's super fun. I love doing stunts and stuff like that. So I weirdly got to let loose a little bit in this, if that makes any sense, even though the matter is darker and intense, but still it just, I don't know, it was really fun for me.
And Eric, I know you've done lots of independent film and also lots of Australian cinema over the course of your career. How did it feel to be doing something like this compared to some of that?
Oh, I felt very similar. I mean, I love this kind of size movie, and I didn't have anywhere near as much kind of physical stuff as Sadie on this. Yeah, they feel great. I just yeah, this kind of size film is kind of the sweet spot that I really really enjoy. and you always at the core is always a really great story, and it's what attracts the actors to these sort of projects, and the sort of quality of writing. So no, it's just always fun.
Great. Well, here at Awards Buzz, we love awards, and I'm curious if the two of you have seen anything recently, a movie or show or performance that you feel has been particularly awards worthy.
This year, I have been so bad at watching things. I'm working right now, so I'm kind of in that headspace a little bit. So nothing's coming to the top of my head right now, but that's just because I'm a little bit scattered. But I don't know, Eric, you go, and then maybe something will pop
Oh
into.
no, I've been in the cave. No, I have seen next to nothing up until now. So and that won't change until very late in the year. So yeah, I go through phases where I watch a lot of things. I go through phases where I watch literally nothing, and I just been really focused on production for a little while. So got a bit of catching up to do.
That's fair. Well, do you either of you have projects coming up that you're allowed to talk about that you can preview a little bit for audiences?
Um, Season 5 of Stranger Things is we're doing it. It's happening. We're kind of in the heat of it right now. Um, but yeah, that's the main focus right now. It's a beast to film, so we're just, you know, carrying along.
Yeah, and I'm up in Canada shooting a mini series for Netflix called Untamed, which is set in Yosemite National Park. It's a great investigative thriller that we've been working on for quite some time getting up. So yes, I'm really excited about being in production on that.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much. I look forward to everyone seeing A Sacrifice and to seeing what you guys do next.
Thanks,
Thank you
Abe.
so
Thanks very
much. Bye bye.